What it do? Yo, man, listen. Today, I want to talk about what the Neurothrope could have been. Let's get right into it. The purpose of this video is to be a fun little thought experiment to see what could have been if certain things in the game were different. These certain things are something I like to call the Neurothrope Effect. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a term that I've come up with, which refers to certain characters getting caps put on their abilities, because if they didn't, they will make the Neurothrope too powerful. I do want to make it abundantly clear that this is just my opinion. I have not had this confirmed with the developers. If I ever get the chance to interview them, this is definitely something I will ask them. However, don't take this as fact. I am not a game developer. I want to make that clear as well. There might be other reasons why you would put caps on passives and active abilities that I don't know about. The purpose of this video is just to have a little bit of fun and see what could have been. There are two main suspects. First is Ahriman, and second is Vitruvius. Firstly, Ahriman, his passive is Psychic Stalk. Whenever an enemy unit anywhere on the battlefield that is on a Hexed Fire takes flame or psychic damage, this damage is increased by 50% to a maximum of 5,483 damage. The second bullet point, the hex of each enemy that is hit by Ahriman's range attack catches fire. The second bullet point only makes it so the first bullet point works. What I'm focusing on is the 50% damage increase to a cap of 5,400. There's a quite similar situation with Vitruvius' passive, Master Annihilator. After Vitruvius deals damage to an enemy, the next 3 attacks of any friendly unit against that enemy score an additional hit. This additional hit can deal a maximum of 7,477 damage. As you can see, both passive abilities have a damage cap put on them, where the additional damage or the hit that will be gained from these passive abilities can only do so much damage. In the case of Ahriman, it's 5,400, and for Vitruvius, it's 7,400. Now, the reason I'm focusing on these two characters is because these are the first characters that come to mind when you say the Neurothrope team. Ahriman Ahriman is a very common character for the team. It's not like a crazy tech choice. It's something people usually bring. Vitruvius, there was an understanding that he was or had the potential to be good. However, the cap on his passive really limits his abilities. For those of you who don't know, I do want to quickly go over the Neurothrope's passive ability called Neuroparasite. Essentially, the way it works is when the Neurothrope attacks an enemy unit, they get infected by Neuroparasite. And when that unit takes psychic damage or gets hit by an attack that would suppress them, would is very important, the level of Neuroparasite goes up by 1. And for each stack of Neuroparasite, the Neurothrope deals an additional 2,194 damage. Now, I want to focus on the Wold real quick. It's because bosses can't get suppressed. However, that word right there makes it so even if the bosses won't get suppressed, attack that has the potential to suppress adds stacks. So that's pretty cool. This goes up to 15 stacks, so 15 plus your basic attack damage. At max legendary stars with Diamond 3 Neurothrope, his base damage stat goes up to 2,398. At level 50, Neuroparasite gives plus 2,194 per stack, up to 15 stacks for a total of 32,910 damage. Wow, Draupnir, what a loser. What a loser. He can't. Guys, I figured out why he's doing YouTube videos, because he sucks at math. No, but anyways, this means that whenever Neurothrope attacks, when a max level Neurothrope attacks with the max amount of stacks, his base damage plus the stacks will do 35,308 damage per hit. Essentially, if we were to limit the damage caps for both Ahriman and Vitruvius, we will see this damage number go up exponentially. The reason Vitruvius is a big deal is because in the Neurothrope team, currently we take Yazcore. The reason we take Yaskor is because his active ability gives Neurothrope one additional hit for one turn. And taking this into account, Yaskor is a core member of the team. He is a must-take character because of how much damage he adds to the Neurothrope. With all that being taken into consideration, if Vitruvius gave +1 hit every single turn that is uncapped, he would be a must-take character and completely replace Yaskor. Now, Vitruvius' extra hit would simply add the same damage because it's just an extra hit. So Vitruvius alone would add 35,308 damage per activation. Activation being clicking on the Neurothrope, clicking on the boss, and attacking, right? Ahriman, if we remove the cap, will give plus 50% damage. Health of 35,308 is 17,654 damage per hit for a total of 52,962 damage total per hit. Now, for an activation of Neurothrope with both Ahriman and Vitruvius' uncapped passives, will do 105,924 damage. This is the 52,962 damage times 2. It's a lot of damage, you know, 100,000 damage. That's a big number. Now, keep that in mind, that 105,924 damage does not take into account high ground, which is plus 50%, and does not take into account the plus 20% damage boost you could get from Rosvita's active ability or Zybia's active ability. So with those buffs taken into account, the total damage per activation would be 190,663 damage. Thank you to Towen for these numbers, friend of the channel, very helpful person. You might remember him from Nandi's videos. He helped me with the math for this video. So on the last 2 turns, you will do 190,000 damage per attack. Now, very small detail, because we are changing the team, we do need to adjust it a little bit. So Neurothrope, you have to take him, right? It's the Neurothrope comp. Ahriman, Abrax is the best stacker in the game, so we take him. Ahriman we don't touch, however, if the damage was uncapped, he would become core no matter what. Vitruvius does replace Yaskor. However, very important note, Yaskor, because he's a chaos character, he can stand next to Abraxas and get an extra psychic hit, which does help stack Neurothrope's passive ability. By switching to Vitruvius, we are foregoing the ability to stack with that character, which means we only have 3 characters who can actually stack Neurothrope's passive. We do want that passive to get stacked as fast as possible. So in this situation, we would actually take Zybia over Rosvita, because we would go back to 4 characters who can actually stack the boss. And again, you know, Rosvita and Zybia's active abilities essentially do the same thing, plus 20% damage for 2 turns. Pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. I just wanted to say this because I will be talking about Zybia. Now, any guild raid scenario, sequencing is extremely important. If you're thinking about a Mortarion and whatnot, turn 1, you're baiting the boss. Turn 2, you actually start attacking. Neurothrope's active ability gives 2 stacks. Ahriman's Abraxas, rather, sorry. Draupnir's losing it. Draupnir's losing it. You know, John Jones won, and Draupnir can't handle it. Goodness. Abraxas, Pink Horror, and Screamers, they get up to 5 stacks. Ahriman and Zybia get to 7 stacks. Turn 3, Pink Horror, it can split. I'm just going to go with the conservative estimate and say it doesn't split. And, you know, Mortarion just hits it and doesn't kill it, maybe. But, like, usually it's going to split and you're going to get more stacks, but I want to, you know, take it conservative. At the end of turn 3, with all the attacks, you're going to get to 11 stacks, and then Nero's going to attack with 11 stacks, which is a lot of damage. And then it's going to go to 12 after Neurothrope attacks. Turn 4, Abraxas, Ahriman, and Zybia attacks. And then a Neurothrope is going to hit for 105,000 damage. Now, turn 5 and 6, we're also assuming the Neurothrope is not on high ground on turn 4, which is perfectly reasonable. And on turn 5 and 6, Zybia active and Neurothrope going on high ground is going to do 190,663 damage per turn. So on the last 3 turns alone, Neurothrope by himself will do 487,250 damage This is not taking into account your ability to go onto high ground on turn 4 and the damage Neurothrope and quite, literally everything else will be doing on turn 2 and turn 3. So this number will get higher. Don't forget, there's a lot of damage sources that you can add, Ahriman's active ability, whatnot. There are a lot of things that can be done. Now, comparison. Currently, the last 2 turns, Neurothrope does around 210,000 damage. When you use Yaskor's active ability from high ground with Roswitha's damage buff, Neurothrope is going to get 2 hits that does around 144,000 damage, and the last turn you get around 70,000 damage, give or take, which adds up to 210,000 damage. If the abilities were uncapped in our example, in the last 2 turns you will be doing 381,000 damage, which is a lot, okay? That is a 171,000 damage difference. That is almost 1 additional turn worth of maximum output in the current state the Neurothrope is in. Even more than that. It's 30,000 more than the maximum output we have access to right now. Okay. Now, you might be a little, unimpressed by this number. It's nothing compared to what X-Ro and the Ragnar Blackman comps do. And you will be right about that. That was my first impression. Towen did help me, friend of the channel, second shout out. And, after we got the number, I went to him and I said, it's like, hey, these numbers aren't that impressive. I was quite underwhelmed. But he made a great point, and he said, if Snowprint were nerfing Neurothrope by those numbers, do you, think of how big of a difference it would make? And he is absolutely right. Say, if Neurothrope was doing 381,000 damage on the last 2 turns, and then Snowprint came out and said, hey, Draupnir, we are making it so Neurothrope gets nerfed, and he's only going to do 210,000 damage on the last 2 turns. I would lose my mind. I would go insane. So why should I be underwhelmed by those numbers? They seem small, but they are a massive deal because of the consistency with which Neurothrope comp can reach them. Remember, the Neurothrope comp is pretty binary in the way it works. Psychic damage, just ignoring armor, and the ease of use of the Neurothrope team compared to others is a boon. It's a benefit. Because when you're fighting against a boss, let's say Rogaldorn Battle Tank, I am of the opinion that the Ragnar Black main comp is significantly better than the Neurothrope comp in its current state. Because it is, right? Okay, guys, just let's not cope, just hear me out. However, maybe you're not comfortable with Rogaldorn Battle Tank. Maybe you don't know how to manipulate its movement, right? So that leads to a situation where you might do less damage because of factors out of your control. However, the Neurothrope team, it gives you the ability to more consistently do damage because of the fact that you have a 100% pierce ratio and your damage comes from your passive. So you don't have to rely on crits or whatnot. And that is where the power of the Neurothrope is, in its ability to just do damage without getting impeded by other factors that other teams are beholden to. Anyways, that's just what a fun little thought experiment that I wanted to do. I thought it was fun. Do I think abilities should get uncapped? Probably. But then again, I'm not a game developer. It is what it is. Thank you very much for watching the video. I really appreciate you doing so. My referral friend code is in the middle of the screen. If you want to enter it, you do get 100 Blackstone shards and it's a great way to support the channel. Have a great day and stay safe.